Hey, Sandra.
Hi, Greg. I have, I think, an easy question.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
a couple of weeks ago, you talked about Vetiver, and you mentioned that it strengthened the basic and regulated the Ming Men.
Mhm.
And since I know the Ming Men kind of controls the blood pressure, I was wondering if you thought Vetiver would be helpful for
It's
hypertension.
it's possible. Like the issue with the blood pressure like that is there can be a lot of reasons why that mingmen gets overactivated, and so it doesn't like regulate it like across the board. It kind of regulates it in a general way, but when you start to have like some sort of physiological issue, sometimes it won't always address like all those pieces. Like, for example, blood pressure could be fluid retention. It could be, some hormones that are off. It could be like stress. It could be, calcium and things that it's doing in the heart. It could be potassium's off. There's all kinds of things that could cause it. And one of the things that we also don't think about is with blood pressure is as we age, there's that supplement coenzyme Q10, but as we age, it diminishes. And then a lot of times when people are on cardiovascular medication, a lot of times they put them on cholesterol medications, usually some form of a statin. And are you on a statin at all, by the way?
Yes. Mhm.
It diminishes coenzyme Q10 in the body quite substantially.
I've been taking CoQ10 for, oh gosh, maybe 5 years
Oh,
now.
good for you.
I don't know if I'm taking
How big
enough.
of how big of a dosage are you taking?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's a tablet, and I think it's 500
Yeah,
milligrams.
you could probably bump that up even a little bit. Like you're
Okay.
just doing one tablet a day.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. A lot of times with blood pressure people, I might even have them go 3 or 4 tablets a day.
Oh,
Like
okay.
maybe just start with two. Like 500 milligrams is a big one. Is it a gel cap or is it a powder?
I think well, it's a powder inside
Okay.
a
Yeah, yeah.
capsule.
So start with two, and then maybe eventually we'll might move you up to like 3 or 4.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like so what you can start doing with just blood pressure, that one's a tough one. Like you just have to kind of start like experimenting with some of the different things. And what's kind of even odd is that something that didn't work 6 months later actually will then work. Like blood pressure is really funky to treat, and so even when you kind of get it nailed, you still have to revisit it and check the blood pressure and all those kinds of things. Make sure that it's staying, relatively regulated. I mean, vetiver definitely would be something I'd put in the repertoire, but do they have you on a diuretic at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, you got the diuretic in place.
And I don't seem to have any fluid retention.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to decrease fluid volume.
yeah.
And so that you're not having fluid in the legs and all that is good. And you don't ever have like a lot of fluid in the lungs or anything like
No,
that.
no, I don't have
Okay.
any lung problems.
Yeah. I mean, you could try that. One that's a little bit of a sleeper. There's actually two that's a little bit of a sleeper for blood pressure is like Yarrow. Like but like the thing with Yarrow is you can't take it daily. Like you can take it for 2 or 3 weeks, but then you got to take like a week off. And the reason that Yarrow over a period of time, if you don't give yourself a break, will diminish your body's tendency to absorb iron. And only does that if you take it internally. It doesn't do it if you're doing it topically or anything like that, but internal ingestion, it will do that. And then the other one is Cape Snowbush. Like I've had a few people where I've been able to regulate their blood pressure with that,
Mhm.
but not consistently enough where I can go, oh, this is one of the ones. It's just one of the ones that like sometimes it works.
Yeah.
A lot of times we do a lot of experimenting. Back in the old days, I used to travel when I was doing healings in person. I would travel with a blood pressure cuff, and we'd monitor the blood pressure, and I'd just start exposing them to different oils until we could get the blood pressure to drop. And so, I mean, that's a kind of a quick way to cut through it. Like, you can inhale it, and if you start to see the blood pressure dropping, then you can go to like maybe ingesting or topical or something like that. But yeah, it's a tricky thing to treat.
I know I've had it since I was a young thing,
Yeah.
weighed less than 100 pounds. They
Yeah.
couldn't, and exercised all the time, and they could not figure out
Yeah.
why.
I honestly, sometimes it's just genetics, and you're just, yeah. And same with low blood pressure. Sometimes it's just genetics, and it is what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
My father had it too when he was young.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so I should just inhale the yarrow or the Cape Snowbush, and
Yeah.
can I
And
do that
just
forever?
like
Or
take your blood pressure, and
uh-huh.
then like let it undo for a little bit, for like a couple of minutes. And then, because if you just do the blood pressure cuff the second time, the number will be different just because you did it twice in a row.
Right,
Like
right.
And so, give it a few minutes, and then just inhale one of them, and then take your blood pressure again and see what happened. And then undo it, let it relax for a few minutes, and then inhale the other one, several long, slow, deep breaths, and then see what happens, and then take the blood pressure again and
Mhm.
see if any of those starts
Okay,
to do it. And then you know that I'm producing a result with the blood pressure.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's how sometimes we just fine tune it with people, is I just start going through like different, and I mean, sometimes it's 10, 12 oils before we get to it, but those are pretty solid. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're so and put vetiver in that mix. I would still try the vetiver.
Okay.
There's a couple people where vetiver or spikenard, actually, I was able to reduce it. One was kava kava. I mean, you just never know sometimes, because the thing with blood pressure is it's adapting to something in the body. And so it's not always just blood pressure, it's blood pressure and there's something else going on.
Sure.
And so that's why you just start kind of fiddling with stuff, and you go, okay, what about this? What about that? Because you're trying to figure out why the blood pressure is.
Okay.
Yeah.